Well, we have come to the end of our full send study on the book of Acts. We're so glad that you've joined us as we have rippled out from a personal transformation to a personal filling of the Holy Spirit to a communal life together as a church. And now we are going to look at what it looks like to be on mission as a church and as an individual for Jesus Christ. As we are now going to go out and we are going to throw the rocks of the gospel and watch it ripple in people's lives by the power of the Spirit. Speaking of the power of the Spirit, 2 weeks ago we talked about the Holy Spirit in Acts 1:8 where it said, Jesus said, "You will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the world." The mission of the church is to go far and wide with the gospel. They didn't do that right away. In fact, in Acts chapter 8, which Stacy read week number 1, it said that Saul approved of the execution of Stephen, and there arose on that day a great persecution against the church in Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria. See, it was persecution that led them to start the mission God had called them to. Persecution led them to expand from Jerusalem to Judea and Samaria. And they were pushed out. And we see this in Peter in chapter 10. Peter is one of those that is going out with the gospel. And most of the time it was to the Jews, right? They knew about the Messiah. They had the history of faith. And so they went to the Jews. That was the easy group to be able to talk to about the gospel. But now we see another group coming onto the stage, the Gentiles, which is everyone else that existed at the time. The Gentiles are now being a part of the people who can hear the gospel. Peter, in chapter 10, meets someone named Cornelius. Cornelius hears from God as he prays, and he sends people to Peter and asks them to come to his house to tell him about God, to tell him about Jesus. And Peter is he was a faithful Jew, and he wanted to keep it to the way it was supposed to. And as these men were coming to invite him over, God sent a vision that said everyone is clean. Everyone is able to hear the gospel. Do not be afraid to share the good news of Jesus Christ with even the non-Jew Gentiles. So he heard this message. And because of that message, now it's no longer just Jerusalem. It's no longer Judea and Samaria. It is the ends of the earth, the Gentiles, everyone is now hearing the gospel. And the ripples continue, and the ripples are starting in lives of people who once thought they could never be a part of the family of God. So Cornelius invited Peter into his house, and Peter went and he shared the gospel. And to Peter's amazement, the Holy Spirit fell upon the Gentiles, and they started proclaiming the gospel just like Peter did. And he realized in that moment that God was going to expand his kingdom far and wide across the whole world. We see this also through Paul. Paul was transformed from someone who was persecuting the church to someone who was preaching the gospel. And he didn't just stay in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. He wanted to go all the way to Rome. He wanted to go all the way to Rome and spread the gospel to every end of the territory that was there in that day. And so that's what he did. He went far and wide. And we see that even today. We see that there are people going to remote villages with the gospel to make sure everyone has an opportunity to hear about Jesus. You know what? This mission is not just for a select few. Sure, there are a select few that will go to those remote villages. There will be a select few that go overseas. But this mission is for everyone who believes in Jesus Christ to go and share the gospel. So that mission is for you, it's for me, it's for all of us. The mission to go to our neighbor, to lead our family in the way of the Lord, to teach our friends, co-workers, classmates. That's our mission field. That's our Jerusalem. That's our Judea, our Samaria, the people God has put into our life every single day. And he says to go in the power of the Spirit. Your mission is to witness for me, as you look at that word witness, it's actually the word martyr. So as we think about, we're going to go share the gospel. Right? We are going to go share the gospel for Jesus Christ. The reality is that we are not on the attack, but we will be attacked when we share. When we go and witness, we will be persecuted. We see persecution in the book of Acts, and you know what? That doesn't stop them, but they keep going. They keep going as martyrs, willing to give their life for the gospel of Jesus so people will hear. And that's what we get to do. They did not do that without a focus on prayer. In Acts 4, as they had just been told never to speak about Jesus again, they went back and they said, God, give us boldness to speak your truth. They didn't say, God, keep us safe. They didn't say, God, make sure we go home at the end of the night. They just said, God, give us boldness to proclaim your truth everywhere we go. And if we die, we die. We get to be with you. This is the mission in the book of Acts. Power of the Holy Spirit and the power of prayer to go and be his witnesses right here, next door, across town, and to the ends of the world. May we do that. May we be 100% committed to Jesus Christ in our life and be his witnesses on mission for him everywhere we go.